let's talk about histrionic personality disorder. But before we do, let's get two things clear. Self-diagnosis is fine and dandy. Armchair diagnosis is not okay and will not fly. So please don't comment any sort of armchair diagnosis of, oh, this is just like how my ex was, or any bullshit like that. One time I posted on Reddit, I have histrionic personality disorder, ask me anything, and I got plenty of comments that were like that, and it's exhausting, honestly. Let's not add to the already extreme stigma against personality disorders. So, now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the diagnostic criteria for histrionic personality disorder, which I was diagnosed with histrionic traits. But keep in mind that I haven't seen the psychiatrist that diagnosed me with histrionic traits in 5 years. I haven't been to a psychiatrist in 5 years. You could say I'm partially self-diagnosed, but I also have the sign-off of a psychiatrist or psychologist. I saw both when I was in the ward. The diagnostic criteria says, a pervasive pattern of excessive emotionality and attention-seeking, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 5 or more of the following. So you need 5 out of these 8 criteria to be diagnosed or self-diagnose yourself with histrionic personality disorder, which I personally relate to all of these traits in some way. Number 1 is uncomfortable in situations in which they are not the center of attention. I've learned to notice this urge when it happens. I have to fight against the urge to make every situation about me. It gets easier with practice, but my advice to anyone struggling with this symptom is to listen first and then talk when the other person is done speaking. This symptom is mainly developed, in my case, from being talked over and not being listened to when I tried to speak. As a kid, I assumed that everybody is going to talk over me and not listen to me, so I had to assume that people will listen to me if I give them a chance to talk first. Listening before talking and letting the conversation be a back and forth is really important to managing this symptom, especially pushing through the impatience of wanting attention on me. So yes, I am pretty uncomfortable in situations where I'm not the one people are talking about, but I've gotten better at managing it. 2. Interactions with others is often characterized by inappropriate, sexually seductive, or provocative behavior. This symptom has gotten me in trouble a lot. My behavior is not sexual anymore, but I used to openly flirt for attention. It just wasn't fulfilling long term. I do find myself getting into trouble for provocative behavior. I used to provoke people for attention daily, even if it's negative attention. People don't like that. People don't stick around for that, nor should they. People cutting me off equals no attention for me, so why would I keep doing that? It was really unhealthy. Again, it comes back to ignoring the urge to provoke a reaction for attention. When I was 13, I intentionally sought out someone who was over 18, an adult, to seek attention from someone I could consider a parental figure, and I got groomed because I wasn't getting the attention that I needed at home, and it only got worse from there. 3. Displays rapidly shifting and shallow expression of emotions. This symptom is the most difficult to manage because it's directly how I feel. My emotions do shift rapidly. I'm apathetic sometimes and empathetic sometimes too. For example, I'm pretty apathetic when I see someone crying. Growing up, when I cried, I was told, "I'll give you something to cry about." I was never taught, as a kid, how to handle someone who's crying or overly emotional. I don't know what to do or what to say because I've never had someone comfort me when I'm crying. When I was a kid, of course. My partner's pretty good at that nowadays. But I was taught there are worse things to cry over, that my emotions were inconvenient. This directly ties to my HPD. I'll shut off my emotions and I'll just refuse to cry. I do it to protect myself and my feelings. Then again, I can be really empathetic when a friend needs me. I've been the shoulder to cry on many times before. It's hard to express emotions when I grew up in a household where you're supposed to perform happiness. You're supposed to show other people that you're happy and you're good and nothing's wrong. So even when I'm alone with myself, I find myself performing that, even in the mirror. Having a symptom just directly calling me shallow is great on the mental health professional side. Lovely. Is that making that about me? I feel like that's making that about me. They're talking about a shallow expression of emotions. They're not calling me shallow, but my brain just wants to make it about me. And it is about me in a way. 4. Consistently uses physical appearance to draw attention to self. I love to be the best dressed in the room. I love to dress fashionably and be complimented on my outfits. It doesn't harm anyone. I compliment others too on their outfits. Is it a symptom, or are you just jealous I don't conform to your standards of how I should dress and behave? Like, this is the kind of symptom that makes me really question, what even is, what kind of symptom is this that I look good? So, the summer that I was sent to the psychiatrist, I moved in with some random lady that I met in the ward, and she bought me a whole new wardrobe, and I thought it would be disrespectful to not wear the clothes she bought me, and she bought me a summer wardrobe, so I got these really tight jean shorts and really tight shirts on me, and that's what I wore to my assessment. So I'm assuming this symptom has something to do with me being dressed in summer attire, I guess. That's all I can think. What even is this symptom? I think I still relate to this symptom in a way because I don't really conform to how women are supposed to dress because I don't consider myself a woman, but I'm sure the psychiatrist, psychologist had some expectation for how women are supposed to dress, and look, I have half my head shaved off. I only have hair at the top to put in a little bun, a man bun, I would call it. I like dressing in a way where you can't really guess my gender. I like that the way I dress and how I look captures the attention of the right people and turns off the wrong people that I don't want to be interacting with. So, in a way, you could say that is using my physical appearance to draw attention to myself. 5. Has a style of speech that is excessively impressionistic or lacking in detail. Sometimes I can't tell if this is because I'm a good storyteller or I'm more emotional than rational. I love to make a good first impression and I love to give out compliments. As a believer in karma, putting good karma into the world will someday come back to me. But that's not primarily what it's about. Making others like me is just a huge part of HPD. Even if it just means getting someone to look at me, or talk to me, or talk about me, it's a thrill. It feels good. But if we're being honest, who doesn't like being seen and being acknowledged that you exist? This symptom might also tie in with performing happiness. I want people to think that I'm happy, that I'm a safe person to go to, when that's not always how life is, and venting and commiserating and trauma dumping, as they say, is just a part of talking to people. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of experience with talking to people. As a kid, I was very, very isolated from other people. I mostly just read books and played with my toys in private and skulked alone in the woods because that's all that I could do when I was outside. All the other kids were afraid of me. I talk kind of weird because I was raised on books. I didn't want to be like my parents, so I tried to be like characters that I like. So now, I talk like how my favorite characters talk. I don't really want to talk about anything that might give the wrong impression that I'm not a safe person for someone to be around, and that could be perceived as lacking in detail. Even in the meeting with the psychologist, I wanted her to like me. I wanted her to know that I'm not a bad person. So I may have twisted some details about certain things to make sure that I wasn't portrayed in a bad light. But I've come to realize that people have flaws. People want to talk about their flaws. People want to talk about other people's flaws. And I have to get better at that still. 6. Shows self-dramatization, theatricality, and exaggerated expression of emotion. Yep, I was a theater kid, and I was good at it too. I was only on stage for about 10 minutes, but my performance was the only one that received a compliment from the judges for my exaggerated expression. Sometimes I act like the main character, because to me, I am the main character of my own story, and you're the main character of your story too. I can be dramatic, exaggerated, highly expressive. I can even show how I feel with only my eyes. When I feel emotions, I go out of my way to show it, even to the inconvenience of others. You made me feel a certain way? You'll know. I won't hide it. I get really excited and passionate talking about theater and books and musicals and movies and shows and all the things that shaped me and made me who I am. Some people might even say I talk like a fictional character, which that's who raised me, so it makes sense. 7. Is suggestible. For example, is easily influenced by others or circumstances. To gain the favor of others, I'll reword what I've been told to say it back so I can show that I'm understanding what people are saying. Although I think that's just good communication skills. Personally, I'm highly skeptical and suspicious about the intentions of others. Although, I'm not sure that's histrionic personality disorder talking. I don't really trust compliments to be genuine. I do ask for advice a lot, but I'm very stubborn in making my own decisions, even if it may be wrong. When everybody agrees, I'm the voice of opposition. I pride myself on being a good listener, even when I politely disagree. As for being suggestible, I don't follow the crowd, I lead it. I personally don't think I'm very easily influenced by other people, but I influence others pretty easily. So maybe the reverse is true of this symptom, like has suggestibility to other people, or easily influences other people instead of easily influenced by others. In other words, in the hypothesis of if all your friends were jumping off a bridge, would you? I'm friends. I'm the one that they're talking about. I'm the one jumping off the bridge. Would you also jump off the bridge if I proved it was safe? Come on. 8. Considers relationships to be more intimate than they actually are. Unfortunately, it's true. I've caused issues for myself by oversharing or trauma dumping. I expected friends to be a safe place to vent, and it wasn't as safe as I assumed. I've had my thoughts used against me many times. To manage this symptom, every year I start a new online document to be my journal where I can write down all of these thoughts. and I just write all the things that I would have published to my stories on Instagram, but instead I just copy it from my story, not post it, and paste it into my private Google Doc, because the world doesn't need to know about that. Honestly, I'm a big advocate for journals and using Google Docs to just vent instead of your stories, because I know a lot of people that just randomly trauma dump all over their stories, and I'm just reading it like this is a fucking sitcom. In my journal, my dark thoughts and moments of learning and growth are only for me. Nobody needs to see me be vulnerable or angry or crash out on Maine. I do it privately, where I won't burden anyone else with my trauma and my symptoms and my explosions that are happening internally. But also, this has led to me not developing relationships because I'm scared this symptom is going to act up and I'm going to think I'm all buddy-buddy with some random stranger that I just met last year on Instagram in some community I'm a part of, and things are going to go bad. It's all these what if scenarios. What if they use what I say against me? What if they call me out publicly? What if they don't like what I'm saying? I also used to confuse the boundaries between friendship and relationship. All of my friendships were way more intimate than they ever had to be. I was friends with benefits with a lot of people back in the day, and it is such a painful time in my life to relive or even just think about. I don't want to think about it. It's awful. I didn't have friends. I had friends with benefits, which is not healthy for me. I'm not saying other people can't live their life like that. Go ahead, do you. But making all my friendships more than just friendships was not healthy, and I'm never going back to that lifestyle. But that's the headspace I was in when I was getting diagnosed 5 years ago. I've learned to maintain healthy boundaries with people nowadays, but personally, I think I've gone off the deep end with boundaries, where I just don't have many friends anymore. 'Cause I don't know how healthy friendships work. I'm hoping by opening myself up more and going to more public events and art spaces and meeting actual people in real life will help me develop an idea of what friendship is supposed to be like. So now that we've gotten the symptoms of histrionic personality disorder out of the way, I want to talk about apathy a little bit more. Apathy, for me, is a beautiful thing. It's a stress response, yes, but it's also self-defense. It happens when, 1, I'm already feeling too many emotions that are purely personal, or 2, I cannot be stressed out by being emotionally invested in stuff that I'm not a part of. Apathy, for me, is like a wall that goes up to guard all of my personal space that I don't need invaded right now. I still notice when someone's upset, I just don't feel their emotions. I can still help someone and be apathetic at the same time. I still know what to say to make someone feel better. It's just how I cope with heavy stress and trauma, especially flashbacks. I just shut off my emotions and keep moving forward. Another thing I wanted to talk about was intrusive thoughts. I really struggle with intrusive thoughts, and it's all painfully wrapped up in HPD. Because my histrionic personality disorder wants to have attention on me, my intrusive thoughts are like, you do have attention on you. They're watching you. Fuck. I have to laugh or else I'll cry. And these fucking assholes that are like, I let my intrusive thoughts win. I cut my hair really short. I let my intrusive thoughts win. I bought so much chocolate. I let my intrusive thoughts win. I just info dumped my lore to strangers online. Oh my fucking gosh. I let my intrusive thoughts win, and so now I keep a knife on me at all times. So if I have to defend myself, I already rehearsed the scenario just in case. Lovely. That's so fun and quirky. I let my intrusive thoughts win, so now I have no one to talk to because I thought my loved ones were trying to kill me, so I isolated myself and I blocked them all on social media, so now nobody can contact me. That's what my intrusive thoughts look like. But yeah, it's so quirky that you cut your hair short and bought yourself an ice cream. Shut the fuck up. The last thing I want to talk about is what I started with in the beginning. Armchair diagnosis versus self-diagnosis. Only you know your own lived experience. Nobody else knows how you think and how you see the world. Nobody else knows how you truly feel in your heart. You don't know how someone else feels symptoms you can't see, so you can't diagnose someone else unless you are a licensed professional. That's called armchair diagnosis. Using armchair diagnosis to diagnose your abuser or your ex who cheated on you or just a friend who keeps lying makes everyone with that disorder look bad. Please don't do this. You can't diagnose someone else with a disorder because you don't know their feelings and the symptoms that they experience. You can't see that on the outside. You can only feel it on the inside. So you can diagnose yourself with a disorder because you know your own lived experience best. Plus, mental health care is fucking expensive. A lot of what I've talked about here today is my lived experience and how I see these symptoms incorporated into my life and how I try my best to cope with them. And now you know a little bit more about a cluster B personality disorder called Histrionic Personality Disorder. Thanks for watching!